Next up is Matt Coleman, Dan Sheldon, and Terry Dash. I just have a T here.
Do I have to sit, or is it okay if I use my teacher voice to stand?
You need to
use
near the microphone.
You can pick up the microphone.
The mic. If
Yes,
And walk
you
around
can-
with the microphone.
You can walk around
I'll
with the mic.
try to contain myself.
The mic is so people in TV land can hear you.
While they're setting up over there, I have a few projects that students have done over the last few years. This one is a 3D printed drum kit that the 3D printing was done in the CAD class. The music sound effects were done in the music technology class. And the wiring it up and programming were done in the computer science classes. And if it's still working, maybe I'll put it over there. You can hear you can play the drum. So we got this.
That's cool.
Some of the lower sounds don't come over very well with the
Nice.
the speakers. The students actually thought it was broken at first, and the sound effects that music tech has, they have great sound over there, nice headphones, and we just have little cheesy speakers on a laptop. So they thought it wasn't working. It was actually just sounds outside of the vocal range, or the vocal range of a computer, if you will. And I also have a binary adding machine that was done down in the wood shop after it kind of opened back up. And I had a student who was very interested in doing, she helped with the building the sets and everything like that. And she wanted to do something finer and bring together her computer science and her shop love. And she made a binary adding machine, which I can show off later if you want me to. But it's up and running, so let's get to the slides. So, oh, is this me? What do I press? Forward? You sure? You're good? Okay. So I'm going to talk about high school, and Terry's going to talk about the junior high school. Good news. Enrollment at the high school in computer science, for me this is good news, is up. 4 years ago, I came in to help kickstart the computer science department. We had 0 students for a few years there in between. I'm not sure exactly how many. And we've been growing the program every year since then. It's been great. We now offer 4 different classes. We have 2 units of one class, so we have 5 different, it's a full-time position right now, which is great. And we have a level A course called Exploring Computer Science, which is a national course. You may have heard about it before. We've kind of have an in-house honors computer science, which is where a lot of the extra time to make some cool stuff like these projects here is done. And then we have 2 different AP courses this year. Kind of the traditional AP Computer Science A course, which we've had at the high school for a very, very long time. And the College Board just released kind of a new course this year. So we kind of piloted it last year. There was no AP test last year. And this year there is an AP Computer Science Principles test. And we had 38 students take that on Friday. So it's actually our biggest class, and it's been a very good class. So we're doing well there. Not only is enrollment up, enrollment for Arlington High is actually way up. So I too have been here since 1974, and I taught here again in 2000 to 2002. And we always had about 3 classes of computer science. From when my older brothers went here, when I went here, when I taught here. We're up to 5 now. We had about 60 students-ish, and the 3 classes that I taught back in 2000 weren't full classes. They were good size, but they're not as big as, we have 28 students signing up for some of our classes now. They're getting very big. So I love this, that we have, what used to be 50, 60 students, and now we're up over 100, and hopefully still growing. We'll see what the final numbers are for next year, but they're looking pretty good, at least kind of on par with this year. Let's talk about kind of enrollment. One of the things that I think about a lot, and a lot of people ask me questions about, are where are the women in computer science? And nationally, there aren't that many women going to computer science. If you look at AP tests, this is from 2011, half male, half female for AP stats. More women than men in AP biology, but again, half or roughly half in calc. And for computer science, it's 19% for women. In 2013, it went to roughly stayed at 19%. So it's not really moving. It's slightly higher than that now, but not a lot. Hopefully this next year's numbers will be better. And one of the things they're doing to address that is this new computer science course that we're taking. Our numbers are slightly better than these numbers. We're about 23%, but it's not high. But the course where it's highest, and we're up at like 35%, is the new computer science principles course. It was designed to be a little more all-inclusive and not the traditional computer science course that you may think of. It deals with a lot of not just programming, but all sorts of computer science aspects and how computer science and society are interacting these days. It's a much nicer introductory course than I had in college. And a number of colleges are actually adopting a similar course. So hopefully that number will continue to change and we'll get more and more women in our computer science classes, something we're actively tracking. Nationally, there's an unbalanced educational supply and demand for computer science. And I'm kind of going the next two slides really talk to what I see as kind of the need for computer science in our educations, and I'm glad we have some. Like 9 in 10 parents want their kids to study it, but only 1 in 4 schools currently teach it. Again, that number might be slightly off, but it's not off by much these days. It might be up to 30%. Right now, computing makes 2/3 of the projected jobs in STEM. So that's not just computer science programmers, but computing in general becomes a large part of a job is huge in almost all STEM fields. And yet we have very few programmers and very few people trained in computer science. Right now, there's some of the highest paying jobs, and only 3% of college students graduate with a degree in computer science, and only 8% of STEM graduates are in computer science. So again, a lot of the 2/3 of the jobs are in computing, but 8% of the STEM graduates are going into computer science. So there's, again, this huge misbalance between what people are studying and what's available out there. In 22 states, computer science classes don't count towards a math or science high school requirement. That's including Massachusetts and Arlington, something I personally would love to see potentially movement on. To address the last slide, only 22% of computer scientists are women, and only 13% are Black, or African American, or Hispanic and Latino. So the representation of minorities, both racial and gendered in this case, are not good enough yet. That's kind of the demand and the need for what happens when you give computer science to high school students. Google did this great study. So that people that take AP Computer Science are 8 times more likely to major in computer science. And remember, only 1 in 4 schools offer computer science. And yet, people that took AP Computer Science are 8 times more likely to go into a major in it. One of the better jobs in our current market. Google did a survey looking at their employees' exposure to CS prior to college. Nearly all CS majors, 98%, were exposed to CS prior to college. That's staggering. When you think about only 1 in 4 schools teaches computer science. Now, this isn't just teaching computer science, but exposure to it. So I am so happy that I'm here, exposing the students here to computer science. Gives them an opportunity to really take this on as a career and take this on as a major. Those who went on to major in CS were more likely than non-majors to have a CS class offered in their high school again. What we're doing here and at the junior high school really matters in giving the students of Arlington an opportunity that it seems there's a barrier somewhere else along the way if we don't give it to them. And I love that that's what we're doing in the computer science department here. You can go to the next one. So what are we doing now? We're kind of growing and we're customizing. So we're doing introduction to computer science at all levels. We have an honors level, an AP level introductory class, and an A-level introductory class next year. We're actually semesterizing that honors level class. So next year we'll have 2 semester-long courses that students can take them both, a Python development course and a web design with JavaScript, so an interactive web. And then the following year I'm actually planning on offering 2 different semester-long classes in game design, which students absolutely love. It gets people in the door, and robotics. So we're actually going to have a nice full 4-year offerings at the high school at the honors level and above, which will be the first time that I've seen that. And I think that lets students who want to try it a little bit or not be able to do that. We're also expanding the pool of teachers that are able to teach computer science. In previous iterations of computer science at the high school, there's only just been 1 teacher, and when they move on, it's hard to keep the whole thing going, and we're trying to disperse it out into other teachers. So we've had 2 different teachers teach computer science this past year, me and Ali Schubert, and next year, myself and Clayton Jones will be teaching computer science, and we actually have another math teacher who's interested in teaching some computer science classes. So I think things are looking good from my perspective, looking at computer science at high school. And I'll turn it over to Terry.
Hello, I'm Terry Dash. I'm one of 2 full-time equivalent teachers. There are actually 3 teachers in the middle school, but only 2 FTE. and I'm going to tell you about the middle school program. Oh, wait, go back. That's my students' quote. My students say, computer science is a way to expand your brain and have fun. All right, now you can switch. I'm going to give you an overview of the 6th grade and 8th grade curriculum, and then I'm going to show you some projects. The 6th grade meets every other day all year, and it's a required class as long as the student's schedule permits. The goal for 6th grade is to get kids excited about computer science, both its topics and its habits of mind, and I'm going to explain those. In the topics we cover in 6th grade include programming, and we actually program in a variety of languages. One is Scratch, Lightbox, CAD. These words don't mean much to you, but they're different languages. I'm wearing my code bug, and some of you have a code bug in front of you. Let's see if I can press the right button here to get it started. There you go. My class is named DML. It says DML Rocks. So the students actually made lots of projects on these code bugs. If you press the B button, something will happen on your code bug, I hope.
You can try them.
So this was part of a unit on wearable computing that we did this year in 6th grade. Okay, so I'm going to continue to talk while you play. Besides programming, we do how computers and the internet work, so students have some idea of the miracle around them. Web development, so students make websites and learn what's under the hood, and a little on safety and ethics. And the picture there is of CodeBug's programming language. Besides topics, we cover habits of mind. These are ways of approaching problems. Every day I try to teach my students to ask 3 questions. What am I trying to say? In other words, what am I doing with this program? Using what vocabulary and grammar? So every programming language is different, so they become multilingual. So they have to become flexible. And then finally, how can I organize my thinking clearly? So this is the essence of computer science to me. When you sit down at a computer and you program, every line, the computer is giving you feedback about whether you're thinking clearly. Every line, gently, but very firmly. And I really believe at the end of a year of computer science, the kids can think more clearly, and that can carry over into other subjects too. That to me is the great gift of computer science and what I love most about the subject. So. More formally, I would tell you, I'll just go quickly. We teach them algorithms, that is recipes for solving problems, decomposition, that is how to solve a big problem by breaking it down into parts, how to think sequentially, organize your thinking, and pattern recognition. Okay, the 8th grade curriculum, this is a new class for next year. We're really excited about trying this. This will be every other day, so only half as long, every other day for 1 semester, so only half as long, and it's elective rather than mandatory. And I'm going to tell you the curriculum, but it might change. It's being developed now. 8th grade will engage kids more rigorously, a little more formal CS, computer science concepts. The little device there is called a circuit playground, and it's another wearable device. It's got a ring of lights, but it also has sensors on it, so you can do distance sensing and temperature sensing and all sorts of stuff. Okay. They'll do programming in JavaScript, a more grown-up language than we do in 6th grade. They'll create real apps, and they'll program Circuit Playground. The language that you see in the corner there is JavaScript in its block-based version, and we'll also do some safety and ethics. The habits of mind at this level is all the previous ones, plus abstraction. That means looking at a problem and knowing which details to pay attention to and which ones are just distracting. And evaluating solutions, that is, how well did my program actually solve the problem I set out to do? And in the corner there, thank you, Matt, is the JavaScript in its grown-up form, and the kids will get a chance to do that also. All right, this is the showcase. So you can skip the websites just for time. They were wonderful, but the programming, I think, is more captivating. Okay. This is a 6th grade project. I'm going to narrate as it goes. The student named Allie designed the game. In the game, there's a bar at the bottom that you move with the arrow keys, and you have to dodge the pink ones and get the blue ones. You'll notice that they light up as you get there. So she designed the gameplay, and then she did all the coding as well. And in 1 minute, the movie will flip over so you can see the coding. There are 5 characters there at the bottom. Right now, we're going to flip over. There you go. So I'm going to flip through the different characters. There's quite a lot of coding that went on. This was an immense effort for a 6th grader, just truly impressive. It was really wonderful to see. Okay, you can flip forward. Okay, whoops, back to Declan. You can't hear this, I don't think, but it's a music watch. This is Codebug. He's wearing it on his arm, and he's touching there's metal circles around the outside. As he touches each one, it plays a different note. So in his mind, this was a music watch. Okay, you can flip forward. This is a clock. So as it goes on, I'll tell you, it's actually counting seconds. It's starting at 12, that's 19, 12:20, 12:21, 12:22, 12:23, 12:24. If you get me sometime, I can explain to you how the numbers are encoded. It was a really wonderful project that she worked very hard on. Okay, and finally, this is a coin toss. So the first time you press a button on the Codebug, I'm going to press the button. It tosses tails. But then I love watching this because it tells you how students think. Then it says, go away. And it launches out to say many other irreverent things as well. Okay. You can go on.
This is middle school.
This is middle school. Yeah, this is middle school. Right. This was an Artbotics project. So there's this is a mask. And as you approach it, as you walk toward it, it activates the mask to move its jaw down, up and down. So if you go to the next movie, actually, just a little bit, you can see what's behind the mask. So this is the other side of the mask. Here we go. We're going to turn it around. And there's a student narrating this, but I'll tell you. There's the circuit board, and it's connected to two eyes that go on, and also the jaw that drops down. And you can imagine the number of moving parts he's got to get the jaw to go up and down. He's got two rotary motors. That's all he had to work with, so he had to turn that into an up and down motion. It was really another wonderful project. So this year I asked my kids how many of them would vote to have a computer science course in 7th and 8th grade, and it was an anonymous survey, but 80% of them voted to take it on into other years. That's it, I think.
Before you go up, first of all, I want to thank Terry and Dan for coming, but I also wanted to tell you that their programs have been recognized by the Journal of Tech and Learning magazine, and tomorrow I'm going to be going over as part of a panel that's talking about trying to get computer science to count as math or science credit at the high school level, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of the information from their courses. So, and the other thing I want to take the opportunity to do is to thank the Arlington Educational Foundation, because the upgrade to both labs was covered in part by the Arlington Educational Foundation.
As were the Codebugs.
Yeah.
May we have time for 5 minutes of questions? Mr. Hayner?
Well, not necessarily a question, I just want to share with you, my wife was a Arlington High graduate in 1965, went into Northeastern. They were offering this new possible lifestyle. It was called computer programming.
Yeah.
And she had been an AP math major here, and she was only one woman in the class, and the rest of the class was made up of music majors, which was interesting, and it came out of the logic thinking of it. And thanks to her, I was able to maintain my liberal views going forward in education. She always made the money for the program. So thank you, and to your predecessors and everything else. This is an exciting area. The kids, they get the immediate success. They work diligently on the programming part of it. You see it, and they focus on it. And the end result is they've created something.
Yes.
And it's really powerful. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
I was wondering if New York Times just published an article on programming for everyone. Did you see that? I just sent it to Matt. And one of the points they make there is that there are going to be lots and lots of jobs that are not programming jobs that will require people to have little bits of programming knowledge. And that's why we all need to sort of learn a little bit of programming, even if we're not a computer science professional. But my question is, if there were to be a lot more students who are interested in taking your courses, would we have the capacity to expand, or would we have to turn people away?
I mean, so this probably has
You wanna
multiple
answer
parts
that?
to it.
Matt,
The computer lab that we have at the high school is unoccupied 2 periods a day. So we could scale up another 50 students without running into like physical problems.
Right.
There's paying for another 2 periods of a teacher, which that's a different issue, but I'm available for some of that. I don't know if you want to.
When I think about this, I think about it as, do we have the curriculum and the content, do we have the staffing, and do we have the space? I think when it does split to Gibbs and OMS, there will be much more space in OMS. We can build a program a little bit more there, but then we just need the staffing and the time to actually build a curriculum. That I would say is the hurdles at this point. I would like to expand.
Anyone else? Oh, Mr. Card?
Just related to that, I was wondering if, I know the deadline to sign up for the middle school classes tomorrow. How's that going so far? Do you know?
Great. Dr. Woods sent out the email at 8 o'clock on Thursday night, and she had said within 5 minutes she already had 5 emails, pretty much requests. By yesterday morning, we already had 100 students who expressed interest, and that's pretty quick. I think this morning maybe 3 or 4 more may have applied, but in reality, some of the students that aren't, expressing interest most likely already know they have blocks in their schedule. They can't necessarily do it. So this is 100 students with very minimal advertising, just sending it out in a real quick turnaround that have expressed interest. So, it's great to see that. It's great to see that these students actually want these kinds of courses.
Mr. Schlickman?
When you were talking in the beginning about exposure to CS as being the defining fact moving on, are you defining, I think of exposure as being like exposed to measles or something, but are you defining exposure as the middle school classes that you're starting off with? Is that your definition, or is there some other definition of exposure that you're referring to as a basic prerequisite?
So you mean during the Google study that I looked?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they define exposure to mean a whole bunch of things. That it was either a formal class or a summer course or other things along that line. In terms of doing their statistics for how many people went on to major, it really was people that were exposed to it beforehand. So there are other ways to meet those statistics besides a core class.
So, but by definition, then, a student who goes through our middle school will hit that exposure if they've been here in 6th grade and possibly at 8th.
Yeah, with the new program that Terry's put in place, I think that's true. I don't know if Google looked back to the junior high school years in that study or not, or if it was just the high school years. I couldn't say off the top of my head.
It was sort of interesting because I wanted to see what they were defining exposure as, to see if we were actually fulfilling that, or there was something more we should be doing to reach that exposure level, because looking at technology coming forward, this is going to be an essential skill.
Yeah, and I'd like to see minorities really represented more in our class, at least at the level that they are represented within our school system, and it's not quite there yet.
Part of the reason why I've really appreciated and liked the work that Terry, John Bradley, Matt Larrabee do in 6th grade, we have such a rare niche opportunity where we pretty much have a mandatory course for all 6th grade students. Like, that's unheard of. And to be able to give students that kind of exposure, that almost mandatory exposure, so we can catch them and show them that they can do this, it's awesome that we already have that. Great.
Ms. Stark?
I also agree that a lot of it is exposure. As someone who was a CS major long ago, I was one of 2 women in my university, and we hung together quite strongly. But one of the reasons that I volunteer for Girls Who Code, we have a very active Girls Who Code here at the Arlington Library, and it's a bunch of your 6th grade girls who are there, and it's great. And it's really exciting to see how excited they are, and just to have a place to hang out and do that kind of stuff. And it's really exciting that it's kind of taken on at the middle school and the high school as well, because I know that a lot of kids are really are interested in it.
It's great.
Yeah, one of my classes, 10 women and 7. Which is the first time I've ever taught a computer science class with more women than men. And that was a great class.
I want to say thank you for coming, and also I have a 6th grader, so I've been experiencing these things as they come along, and she's just so enthused. And her older sister went through the first version of this class, and I'm just so impressed at how much it's changed. And it's an amazing class now. her favorite, if not one of, I mean, it's either one of her favorite or her favorite, depending on the day. It's just great. She stays after school to do some more on the projects and stuff, so thank you very much.
Can I collect the code bugs? You can't keep those.
I'm addicted to the one that plays a game.
Make sure that's in his evaluation.
That he took them back?
He took them back.
Actually, that would be a good part of his evaluation, I guess.